Hi, welcome to African Fingerstyle Guitar. My name's William. This is the fourth lesson in the series, though you can start right here or you can join in whenever. It's all good. Today we're going to be studying legendary Zimbabwean guitarist Oliver Mtkudzi. Now this man is one of my favorites. He was another of the artists I was introduced to at university, and what I really love about his sound is there's a joyousness to it. There's a rebelliousness to it. I also find this incredible off-kilter grooviness to his music. I can never quite catch where his one is. I can never be entirely sure how he's conceiving of the subdivisions or how and if he's counting. But I find that this makes his music so lively. And the tune we're going to be looking at today, Andinzwi, is one of those where it's actually a ballad. It's a really chill tune, and it's a fairly easy one to play as well. But by doing a subtle shift on where the accented bass note happens in the fingerpicking pattern, he adds just this little drive to what would be a very placid kind of fingerpicking pattern. That's what we're going to be studying today. Now, as always, there's free PDFs linked in the description below. I try and put a full score as well as a lesson resources where you can have the score broken down a little bit, a couple of notes, and also an exercise that's going to help give you some practice with some of the musical ideas that are expressed through the tunes that we study in this course. Something that I've noticed in Oliver Mtkudzi's music, as well as other Zimbabwean artists, is where we're accenting a bass note isn't always on the one. In this exercise, we're going to establish a basic fingerpicking pattern using PIMA. And we're going to begin by having our thumb, P, hitting on the one. Then we're going to just each time shift it one along in the grid. So on the second time, we're going to do the thumb hitting on the one and, then the third time on the two, then the two and so on and so forth. And we're going to get used to each of those permutations before moving on to some variations. In order to make sure that we're really hearing where the thumb is hitting during out the whole bar, we're going to play this one with a metronome as well. The song that we're looking at today is at 120 BPM, so I'm going to be playing about 3/4 speed at 90 BPM, just so we can be really sure that we're locked in with the pulse. So our finger picking pattern goes like this: P-I-M-A-M-I-M-A. Bass on the one. One. Counting it all, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Let's load up the metronome and then work through our permutations. Let's get going on our basic finger picking pattern now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. 1. 1. 1. All right, now what we're going to do is just switch that bass so it's hitting on the one and. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and. 1 and. 1 and. 1 and. Okay, now we do it so we get it on the 2 and so on and so forth. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Now on the 2 and. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and. 1 and 2 and. Should we go through all of them? I think that's probably fine. Now we can start to introduce some exercise variations. One of the first things that we're going to do is bring this into the chord progression. So our chord progression for this piece, we've got a G, playing this really simple version of G here. We've got a C, we go back to our G, and then we have an A minor, but we're playing the 4 instead of the 5. So the D instead of the E. I wonder, is this called A minor add 4? Something like that. So we can choose one of our permutations and see if we can switch between them. Because this tune uses the bass on the 1 and, that's the one I'm going to do just to demonstrate with you. Working nice and slowly through the chord progression, that's going to sound something like this. One thing that my brain and muscle memory always want to do is change chord when I'm playing the bass. But what is really important to try to do is to change chord on the 1 rather than changing chord at the same time as your bass. This will become a little bit more evident when you're getting onto some of the permutations that the thumb is happening much later on in the bar. Next thing we could do is try interchanging between some of our permutations. So on this one, I'm going to do, for the G, I'm going to do the bass on the 2, and then for the C, I'm going to do the bass on the 2 and. So that's going to sound something like this. The final variation is for you to come up with your own fingerpicking pattern. You can do this in 3s, 4s, or 6s would be good. And just choose a pattern, maybe something that you're not so good at. So for example, I'm really, really smooth going from P, A, M, I. I'm not so smooth going P, I, M, A. And so you could maybe consider trying one where you've got a pattern that you're a bit more familiar with. Maybe try one with a pattern that you're a little bit more unfamiliar with. Try it with some different chord progressions. Really have fun. Use this as a creative exercise as well as one to refine your technique. Let's get into the tune now. The first line of the tune establishes our chords, and it's the only line of the tune where the bass is on the 1. It goes something like this. See, I told you it's not too difficult, this tune. Next, we go into our main refrain, and this is going to be a line that we're going to be hearing for most of the duration of the song. And it's not too different from line 1, except that bass note that we played on the 1, we're now playing on the 1 and. So that's the second 8th note. It's going to sound something like this. How nice is that? That extra 8th note, or that shifted 8th note, just takes this quite placid and docile kind of line, just gives it that tiny bit more forward momentum and interest. The next line, which we're going to play, basically adds a tiny little melodic ornament onto that line that we just did. He plays this ornament in loads of different ways throughout the piece, but this is the most kind of common one. And notice how the ornament is syncopated. It's happening on the ands, on the upbeats. But because the bass is happening on the upbeat as well, it means that this syncopated melody actually doesn't feel very syncopated. I wonder if you think the same. Our line goes like this. We've only got one bit to go, and that's this little riff that he does. This riff is gonna take a little bit of dexterity at first, but just take it nice and slow. I'll show you slower and then a little bit faster. Nice and slow, it goes like this. A little bit faster, it goes like this. And that's basically the whole tune. When Oliver Mtkudzi is playing this tune, he's actually pretty relaxed with the structure. So what you can do is start with your intro, establish the chords with the bass on the one, and then move on to the refrain right away. Every now and again, perhaps if you're singing after a nice meaningful lyric, add in some melodic ornamentation and keep the rhythm the same but change what notes are in that melody. And then every now and again, we can go onto the riff, and if you cycle this round a few times, it's gonna sound absolutely gorgeous. Now this song is a dedication to the Zimbabwean musician Sofirio Madzikatire. Oliver Mtkudzi dedicated this song to him, and through his singing, he reflects on what does it mean to be a hero. So maybe while you're playing this tune, you could sing or just talk about someone who you consider to be a hero. I think this would be a lovely thing to do. As always, I'm pretty new to this. I'm still getting my head around teaching into the camera, the video editing and all of the jimble jamble that comes with all this. So if you got any feedback, constructive criticisms, whatever, just let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear. Similarly, if you got any requests, I'm currently working on my on a lesson for a few lessons time, which is based on a request that someone's given from a YouTube comment. So keep those coming in. I'd love to learn about new music, learn how to play more new music, and then be able to teach you the styles as well. I think that's about all really. I'm going to end with a little playthrough of the tune. I hope that you enjoy.